Welcome back, everybody, to the Precedent Minds of the Mavericks. My name is Amina, and I am so excited to get into today's episode. I feel like I'm going to say that in every intro because I genuinely am excited about all the people I speak to. And Blake is so freaking cool. She is a co-host of the Flow 93.5 morning show alongside Peter Cash. She has such a cool, unconventional story as to how she got into radio. And I can't wait to chop it up with her and speak about her journey. So without further ado, let's get into it with Blake Carter. I like to start every conversation with, how do you define success for yourself?
Ooh. Probably when your parents tell you they're proud of you.
Yes. And like goal wise, like, do you like have like any measure?
I think, sorry, one sec. Can I just put my dog on? I've got a blind dog and he pays. I've got two of them. I got one here and then I got one just.
Amazing. Yeah, do it.
Here, let's just put you on the couch. Sorry. Here's the other one.
Oh, it's a baby.
He tends to pace around. He's here. Click, 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 click. Okay.
Amazing.
How do I define success? I think just being currently employed and staying employed, especially with how things have been lately and just how media is in general. I just think being able to get your foot in the door and have a position is, you're there.
I like that.
You know what I
like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I really have like a dollar amount I'm making or an exact show. It's more, because I had like such an unconventional way of getting into this job and into radio and media. I'm just really proud of myself for just every little step I've taken and to get here and just to still be employed. I feel pretty good.
Absolutely. And going into that, like briefly walk us through your journey to where you are now.
Okay, so I currently am at Flow 93.5. I do the morning show with Peter Cash. And I started as a receptionist in Vancouver at the Beat 94.5. The Beat was actually originally, I think, Canada's like first hip hop station. It was like privately owned, and then they sold it and they flipped it to Top 40. And I was just doing reception there. I used to want to be an actress, and I kind of thought if I was working downtown Vancouver, then I could go to interviews to auditions.
Yeah.
But if you're working 9 to 5, auditions are during the day. So that wasn't possible. So I kind of just was doing reception, and just the way I am, I talk to people, I make friends. So I made friends with people there, and one of like the imaging producers. So that's the person that does all the, when you listen to Flow, when you hear Flow 93.5, like the big voice, that's somebody produced that, put that together. So the guy that did that asked me to start doing commercials, and I started voicing stuff. And then I kind of became friends with the morning show. And the whole reason they put me on the show, I made kind of like an inappropriate comment about a really hot postal worker to the morning show host, Kid Carson. And he just threw me under the bus on the radio the next day, called me like at my reception line and was like, "Don't swear, you're on the radio." And I'm like, okay. And so he started asking me about this hot postal worker. And I guess the postal worker had gone back to Canada Post and talked about me. So someone from Canada Post called in the station and we're like, "We know who your receptionist is. He's talked about her." So they turned it into this big radio bit. And that pretty much like launched my career because the program director heard me on the radio. He heard, sorry, one second. My blind pug found my chips. Sorry. There was chips on a side table. Okay. It's just a mess over here.
I'm not judging you. This is literally like, this is exactly what I wanted for this podcast. Where
I'm
it's
sorry,
like,
I should have put them away, but like, I forgot about him.
It's
anyway, sorry. So from there, so then they started kind of using me as a character, and I became the hot receptionist on their morning show. And so I really have to thank like that show was Kid, Nira, and Amy that were doing the morning show in Vancouver. And if they hadn't tried to like mortify me on the radio and make fun of me about this comment I made about this hot postal worker, the program director would never really heard me on air outside of the commercials I was doing. And so from there, the program director of the Beat in Vancouver asked me randomly one day, he just came up to me and was like, "What do you think about Saskatoon?" And I'm like, "Saskatoon? Like, what do you do there? Like tip cows?" I just made a joke. And then he was like, okay. And he didn't say anything else. That's how this program director, Chris Myers, is. He's like very kind of quiet, always like paying attention. He walks away, and my same friend, the imaging producer that had been putting me on spots, was like, idiot, he's leaving soon to launch a brand new station, and he's looking for people to bring to put on air. And so like I technically wasn't on air yet. I was still receptionist. I was doing some promo team, street team kind of work. But once I'd been in there for a while, I was like, okay, I want to do this now. So I made like a little fake demo and submitted it to him, and it felt like it happened really quickly. All of a sudden, I was packing my bags and leaving actually, was I living at home? I'm probably living at home or with a boyfriend, who knows. I was packing my bags and leaving BC to go to Saskatoon to do a morning radio show with no experience. Like, other than being on the phone talking to the control room, I'd never even like really been in the radio control room or anything.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And like that's so dope. And I find that like life is really fluid, and as humans we can adapt quite well.
That honestly, I truly believe that, because I think like either you have it or you don't. And I was able to just like take what I was already had, my talents I already came with, and I just learned like on the spot, on the fly. Like I really learned a lot from, so I did a show with a guy named Mark Michaels, who's actually, his brother is Mad Dog Michaels, who's here.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know him as well.
Billy and Mad Dog. Wow. That was like a, wow.
Billy and Mad Dog.
Yeah.
So because like you guys are ahead of us in time, Mark and I would listen to Mad Dog and Billy, and I would like listen to her entertainment reports, because I didn't know how to do entertainment reports. I'd never done them. So I would listen to their show before our show to get like inspired and get some content and stuff. And we would totally like rip things from their show. So thank you to them, because they definitely helped. And then I just did it. Like I just went and I just did it. And so from there, I was in Saskatoon, and then Mark left first, my morning show co-host. And then once he left, I'm like, yeah, I need to get out of here too. Also, can I just say, when I moved to Saskatoon, and I have to add this to every time I tell the story, it was minus 52 when I showed up there. Okay. I get off the plane and it's minus 52. I'm moving away from all my friends and family. I have like everything I own in 2 suitcases. And I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah. And my mom, I must say, I'm a December baby, so like I actually don't mind it. But that's mess. That's
mess. This is like your nose hairs freeze, your eyelashes freeze. And I was booked into like a creepy hotel my mom picked, and like when I got there, I'm like, oh my goodness, it did not look like it looked in the pictures online. And so thankfully the general manager, this is like when you go to small town, this is awesome. The general manager of the station came, picked me up, and I lived with me, the morning show host, the afternoon guy that I came with from Vancouver with, we all lived at her house. So she had 3 different people all living with her. Yeah. So it was kind of a cool experience, because you got really tight, really fast. And so then from there I went to Calgary, and I did a morning show in Calgary. And then I came out here and was working evenings on Chum, but I came out here initially because Chum is obviously Bell, and they do a lot of obviously all TV and much music, and when there really was much music and e-talk and all that. And so my initial plan when I came to Toronto is that's what I was hoping to do. And so I went from mornings to evenings, and then was there for a little while, lost my job there, had just got into like the TV side of things and was starting to talk to TV people and did like a demo reel and everything. And then there was a lot of layoffs happening, and I lost my job, and a lot of TV people lost their jobs, and they kind of merged everything with MTV or Much Music. They kind of moved them over to e-talk. Remember that like shuffle that happened and stuff. So it was not a very good time to lose my job. / try to get into TV. So from there, like this is the thing with, I think with radio or any kind of media job, you know, usually like, and maybe this is every career, but like if you lose your job, you know, you feel like crap and you take some time, but you don't have time in media. Like it's like the day you lose your job, it's like, okay, which contact can I reach out to and start trying to find what's next? So from there, I went to Kiss 92.5, and I was just kind of doing fill in. And then we ended up creating a show with myself and Adam Wilde, who's on Virgin Mornings now. And so we did afternoons for a while at Kiss. And then I left Kiss because I wanted to be on a morning show. And like their morning show, Roz and Mocha, they're amazing and they're established and they've been around forever. So I came over to Flow, and I've been there doing the morning show ever since. So it's been, I think, 4 years I've been there now.
Nice. Yeah. And I want to say, like, that's like a cool, like that's super cool. Like you just rolled with the punches essentially, and like got to where you are now.
I kind of just didn't have another choice because I didn't really know what I was doing with my life. And,
Yeah,
be given the opportunity to do a morning show, to get onto the radio, to get
yeah,
that opportunity was huge. To get a morning show was even bigger. And then to get to move cities and end up in Toronto, which is like the biggest market you want to be in, was pretty dope. So
yeah.
it sucked. Like losing my job was one of the worst experiences of my life. I've never felt like you just feel so many emotions, like so embarrassed because
Hard.
it's not like, okay, you just don't like I've worked in the mall before, so say I don't show up to Aldo, nobody's really going to notice. But you don't show up on the radio, everybody knows you lost your job.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's
So
like
yeah,
publicly, like it's like you feel
yeah,
publicly, it's
it sucks
amplified by like
publicly.
a
You got to tell your
thousand.
friends and your family, and then all the public knows as well. So there's definitely been some ups and downs, but just keep going, keep it moving.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets about like not becoming an actress? And like what kind of actress did you want to become?
Oh, I for sure thought I was going to be like actress. Like I thought I was going to be in movies and TV shows. And no, sometimes like I think about it now, I don't even know if I could act anymore. But I'm also kind of realizing, as I'm getting older, like it's never too late. You can start
Yeah,
like if I
100%.
if I really wanted to, I could be doing that on the side right now as well.
And that was going back to the point of like life is so fluid. And I think that like humans
Yeah,
adapt really well as hard as change is, and like as crappy as it can be to get in between those spots, like the in between spots, sorry, like we are very fluid and it's like
I've struggled really for a long time, really just trying to like accept the way God and the universe are like pulling you and
yeah,
letting you go. And like now that I'm like I'm trying so hard. Like when you accept it and go with things and pay attention to the little
yeah,
opportunities that pop up. Because like honestly, before this, like what was I doing? Going to acting auditions, I think working at a gym or serving or something. I had no clue what I was doing. So
yeah.
yeah, just
Those
went
are
with
like
it. And thankfully I've ended up here and just who knows where like what's going to happen next because you don't know the way the industry is going to go. COVID changed a lot of people
yeah,
losing jobs, a lot of revenue being lost. So yeah, you got to be able to go with the flow, definitely.
100%. And like you were saying that you had no background when like you started, and like obviously you've now developed these skills, but like you learned on your own essentially, right? Like I don't know if you ended up going to school or like taking a
No,
program for, yeah, that's crazy
no.
to me. You just
And that
learned.
definitely made me feel like for a very long time, I didn't know what like imposter syndrome was, until I
Yeah,
met one of my bosses now who kind of, she sent me some great books and stuff to read. I always felt like I was just faking it and like people were going to catch on to me because I
wow,
really was faking it. Like this wasn't my lifelong dream to be a radio broadcaster and I know everything. Like I had no idea. The board, running the radio board still freaks me out. I got taught like at different stations I've worked at, I've been taught how to use it, but I'm still more comfortable just like as a co-host. Um, and yeah, I definitely was always worried like people were going to like figure me out or think less of me because I didn't actually go to radio school and don't have any training. But I definitely think other things like with acting, I went to a lot of improv classes and stuff. And I think that helped me be able to just go with the
yeah,
flow literally on the radio. Like I can go back and forth with anybody. And I think maybe like from doing theater and acting and stuff like that, that did help.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like imposter syndrome was great because I was just like, did you ever feel my question was, did you ever feel intimidated, and how did
Oh
it
yeah.
impact the way that it viewed yourself amongst your peers?
Um, I definitely have felt intimidated many times. I still do. It took me a really long time to be like, no, I deserve to be here. I know what I'm
Yeah,
doing. I remember actually right before I got let go from Chum, I met with Nancy McLean, who was, I don't know if I believe she still is, but she was like the head of TV there. And she was the one I did my demo reel with and everything. And she came and met with me after I got let go. And they had let go a bunch of people. And she was just kind of telling me like, I'm sorry, I think you're great, but I don't have any positions right now. But I kept kind of like apologizing to her and stuff. And she like stopped me and she's like, stop. She's like, you say sorry so much and you're so like, oh, I don't want to offend or bother. She's like, stop. Like, you're here for a reason. You got to
mhm,
Toronto, you made it here. Like, stop apologizing for yourself. You wouldn't
yeah,
have gotten this far if you
yeah,
weren't talented and you didn't know what you were doing. So, like, own that. And
yeah,
it took like saying that to me to be like, you're right. Like, okay, maybe I just lost my job and it's embarrassing and it sucks, but I still made it with nothing but high school education to Toronto on the radio.
yeah,
So yeah, I think in any, I think people and women especially, like we're very hard on ourselves and we definitely, feel like intimidated by things. But I know I definitely would say yes to things I probably shouldn't have before just because I felt like I had to, because I was always like, oh, I'm the underdog, I'm the new one, I don't have any
yeah.
experience. I didn't go to school. So I would take a lot of shit basically in the
Yeah.
beginning of my career, just because I was so grateful to have the job, but also just felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely changed, because like there's a really big difference in doing things to like help your career and, you know, like working hard, and then also just taking crap because it's being dumped on you because you
Yeah.
yes and will do it, you know?
100%. I think this industry strives on like, yeah, you have to like do all this bullshit. You have to endure all this crap in order to be even like notable or like recognized, right? And it's like,
I know. And
it,
like that's the thing. You have to be very careful with what's helping your career and then
yeah,
what's being used, because they'll use you and be like till the cows come home. Like,
yeah, 100%. And I want to say there was something I saw recently because like apologizing a lot, there's no reason, like there's no reason to apologize. Like there's no need for the apology.
and I'm
Only
still
say,
so bad for it. Like
yeah,
me and my girlfriends have conversations all the time, and I'm like, sorry, because voice notes. I send a lot of voice notes, and I'm always like, sorry, this one's so long. And my girlfriends are like, they're always long, Blake. Like, what? You don't need to say sorry. And
yeah,
I say it back to my friends too when they call really late at night or something. It's like I'm just giving random examples, and they're like, I'm so sorry. Like, was your phone on silent? I'm like, yes, my phone's always on silent. Like, I'm very good at avoiding people. You don't have to apologize. Like,
yeah,
just especially women, we're always like, sorry, sorry, don't want to offend, sorry, sorry, even whether
yeah.
it's at work or with our friends or in any situation. And not that you shouldn't say sorry and you shouldn't apologize, but we overdo it.
For the right things, apologize, but
Yeah.
like you're just living life. Like
Yeah,
there's no need
exactly.
to. And I want to touch on that because we're talking about women and like obviously you're stunning. And like I
Thank
think
you.
that like when women are introduced very often, it doesn't matter what a woman's occupation is, women are constantly introduced by their looks, like the
Yeah,
beautiful, whatever, and we get reduced down to that. And I think that like it then in turn does like people don't take women seriously or as seriously when you were navigating yourself through the space, like feeling the way you were too. Were there moments where like you were like you saw people treating you differently or less than taking advantage of
completely,
you?
completely.
Yeah.
Even going back to my first thing, I was the hot receptionist.
Yeah.
I don't even think you can say that now. And like they did it very like it was like a joke, and I wasn't offended or
Sure.
anything by it. But I just don't even know if you're if you're allowed to refer to people as the hot secretary or the hot
Yeah.
whatever anymore. But so when I first got my very first job, I found out, and like because I'm coming as a receptionist to now I'm doing a morning radio show. So definitely the industry, people were talking about me. And I didn't know a lot of people in the industry, so I didn't hear about it till afterwards. But I found out like even one of my coworkers, female coworkers, was talking. I wonder how she got this job. Obviously, she was doing something to get this position, and she's just going to be. I kept hearing, oh, she's just going to be a laugh track, as in I'm not going to have anything to
Wow.
say, and I'm just brought in to laugh at the male host.
Yeah.
So and like that I think like when I hear comments from like men or heard things men have said about me, it's more like it's not okay, but I'm more like that's expected. What I wasn't expecting when I got into this industry was the women.
Yeah.
And I get why it happens, because there's so few of us and we are really pitted against each other. It's always
100%.
like what's younger, what's hotter, what's fresher, what's cool. And you have a younger one coming in to replace you at any moment. So at first it really hurt, like when I would hear comments, like it would get back to me from different women in the industry, and not all of them, trust me, like I have a huge group of friends in this industry, but I just had to really understand why they're doing it. Like if say somebody is being mean or a bully, like there's always a reason, because like there's something going on with them. So when I kind of got more into the industry, I'm like, okay, I get why their backs were kind of up when I came in, or there's a new girl walking in with no experience and she just happens to be younger and attractive. So why is she here?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. And I definitely have in all my positions, like just noticed you definitely get spoken to a lot differently. Like when working with a different male co-host, I noticed a lot. If I would say something, and I still get this actually, not saying like I still get this right now with my current boss, but I just, in my career, this really hasn't changed. I noticed like when we as women say something, like this is a perfect example. I did a photo shoot at a different radio station and the photos came back, and I don't love photos. I was so excited to be in
The
radio. I was
camera
like,
loves you. What?
no one's going to have to see me. And then I'm like, oh no, now we have all the social media like exploded,
Yeah.
and now we film everything. And I have to be more comfortable with it. But I remember we did these photos, and me and my male host did not like the photos, but I was the one who vocalized, and I got told like, you're just being sensitive. You never like your photos. You're just being sensitive. You're whatever. Then he comes in and he's like, I actually don't like the photos. new photo shoot, rescheduled. We had a whole new photo shoot, completely different photographer. It took the man on the show saying he didn't like something to have a change. And I noticed that similar thing kept happening. If I would say something, I was, you know, you're being bitchy, you're being whiny, you're complaining, you're this. The male counterpart says it like, oh, changes need to be made, or let's take a look at that. And so that's definitely been something that I have like had to fight against. And when I was younger, I would kind of just take it and be like, oh.
Of course.
But now I'm like, no, actually, excuse me. I was making a point. Like, I do know what I am talking about. And like, no.
Yeah. And that's just
like, that's not going to fly anymore.
Good. Because I think that like what sucks about the women being pitted against women also is that like, we just get told there are not enough seats at the table. And then it's almost like subconsciously ingrained in us. So it's like when you do hear from women, yes, it's shocking, but then you're like, oh, shit, like I feel like I kind of understand why they are this way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why like, I have no resentment towards any women that had a problem with me in the beginning, because that's the thing. There aren't that many seats for us. So you really have to fight to get there. But now I think what's really cool about a lot of movements that have been happening is like we're realizing no, there are unlimited seats. We just got to keep creating them and supporting. And if I support like other women, we're all going to get here. And so I know I've met so many women at different functions, events, different stations that were like very surprised when I was friendly and like, no, let's connect, let's work. Like, I'm not trying to steal anything from you. Let's collab together. Let's elevate together.
Yeah.
Not take away from anything by another female coming into the station or into whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
And like, even outside, like, I know that like you and Peter like are always out and like doing things. Do you find that like people are more receptive to him, that just because he's the man, like, even if it's outside of work, right? Because like you guys are co-hosts, like you guys are equal partners at that show.
Yeah, definitely. Like people will just, I know it bothered me one time. We were introing 88 Glam at a show, and I don't know who it was, but whoever was organizing everything backstage just talked over me. Like, I think they just thought I was Peter's girlfriend or something. They direct eye contact with Peter and here, and this is what you got to say, and didn't even say didn't even acknowledge me.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, hi, I'll take a microphone too. Like, you have to really, because again, going back to earlier in my career, I would just kind of like take a step back and like, oh, that sucked that happened. Whereas now I'm like, no, you got to make the space for yourself. So I stepped in. I'm Blake, by the way, and I'll take a microphone because I'm also going out on stage. I'm not just here as his girlfriend or, I'm not just
I'm not a groupie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like so frustrating.
It is, but we just got to speak up.
Absolutely.
And you know what I mean? And then I'm sure that person that day, I don't remember who they are, but they probably will never forget me.
Stupid. I hope they feel stupid.
But
I don't wish poorly on anybody. I hope that person feels stupid.
It's just a perception, because like I hear all the time, because like Peter and I are equal co-hosts. No one's the host co-host. We're both co-hosting. 100%. But people just assume he's the host and I'm his co-host. Or like I even had one of my friends say to me the other day, like, Peter definitely makes more money than you, right? And I'm like, why would you just assume that he makes more money? Like, we're doing the same job. Why would you? And in fact, I was on this show before Peter came, because Peter was in the evenings. So why would you assume he'd be brought, but it's just like how we're used to it. You just assume the man is the host, the man makes the more money, and she's the laugh track on the side.
Yeah. And that, it's like unfortunate, because like it's literally just ingrained in people. Like that's just the way it is, especially within the music industry. Because I worked in an entertainment law firm for some years, and like I would see some of the way that the female lawyers were treated versus the men. And I was like, damn, like they're doing the same work. Granted, there might've been some hierarchy, fine, but like the women lawyers are still super dope. And like, I don't understand how you can completely overlook somebody like that. But like, like
and you have to like, you just also have, especially when like pay and stuff, you have to do your research and figure it out. And like, I know my first job, I didn't even know about ratings bonuses because I'd never been in radio before. So I didn't learn about a ratings bonus until my male counterpart got a ratings bonus.
Oh shit.
And then I was like, wait, we're on the same show. So we got the ratings, but you got a bonus and I didn't. And he didn't know I didn't have it in my contract. And I'm like, well, I didn't know it was a thing because it's my first job.
Yeah.
But how does that make sense? The man on the show got a bonus for doing like, and yes, he was the host and I was a co-host, but still co-host.
Absolutely.
And I just like, I remember one time I like accidentally overheard a different male counterpart say he was locked out of his account or something. So he had to talk about, he was trying to get back into his bank account. He had to talk about some transactions. And so I basically heard how much his paycheck was. And it was like,
do you believe in like
quadruple my paycheck? And I was like, are you kidding?
Crazy. Do you believe in like, I think now it's becoming more of a culture that we're pushing that people speak about their salaries with one another because it's so taboo, right? You're not supposed to do it.
Yeah. And I
like,
think I'm like money.
Trip.
I struggle with money stuff. And I'm trying to get better, and talking about money is something that makes me uncomfortable. And I've always kind of just ignored it, but like, you got to get comfortable with it. And I'm really, really lucky that like, especially right now, the show I'm on with Peter and I have known, like when I did evenings on Chum, Peter was down the hallway on Flow. They were in the same building because Flow used to be owned by Bell.
Yeah.
So like, that's how we became really good friends. We were down the hallway from each other. We actually made a demo like 10 years ago to do the morning show on Flow, and then it just never happened. But we made a fake demo.
Circle, yo, what?
Yeah, so randomly, right? So Peter and I are really close and tight. So we've already talked about the fact that we will come together on contract negotiations when the next time is, and like money and stuff like that. Like we are like, it's uncomfortable, but let's just lay it out so that we can band together and be like, we both want this.
Yeah. And it's nice that he's an ally, right? Because like, that's also very important. Like men are a part of the conversation too, because if they don't help with
they don't. And that's one thing Peter has said to me so many times since we've been doing the show together, is he really like didn't realize how differently women get treated. And now that we've been doing the show for a while, and he sees it firsthand when we go to events, the way people speak to us, like whether it's a promoter or manager or this, sometimes even artists, like they won't acknowledge me. They'll just talk to Peter. Like and so he's getting a real quick lesson on what it's like and because we're so close and he cares about me, he's like finally getting it. Cause like, it's easy to be in your own little bubble, especially when you're a man and you like moving along and life's always been one way for you. So I'm really proud of him that he's been able to like actually see it from my point of view and like notice, wow, people do speak differently. Like say example on the radio, we can be having a conversation. One time, like when the whole idea of Trump ever becoming a president was just kind of like, like, and that'll never happen. We were talking about it. Peter brought it up. We're having a conversation. We had the same point of view. This guy called in and he's going off. That chick on the radio should shut her mouth and going off about, like, clearly not a listener because he didn't know my name. Me and Peter said the same thing, but all the man heard was that a woman was talking politics and speaking down about Donald Trump. And that happens a lot. Peter and I can be both being aggressive on the show. And then I'll get, because we do a lot of text messages and stuff, people texting, whoa, Blake on her period today. Whoa, Blake's in a bad mood today. And I'm like, I'm literally defending myself. But because I'm the woman, it must be my period, must be my hormones, must be this. And that does happen. And like, now we're at the point, like I used to really get offended and everything used to set me off. And again, I'm trying to work on this new, like now I can like laugh with Peter over it because Peter will stick up for me, but like, we said the same thing. Yeah. How did you only hear? But they're just, I don't think people are always programmed to hear a woman have such a strong opinion or stick up for herself or have a comeback. So 100%. A lot of people get it, and we have such amazing people right now that listen, but then there's also the few people that they don't want to hear a woman stick up for herself or be like, when I went through a breakup recently, not this recent one, the last one, someone was like, well, clearly like you're the problem. You can't keep a man and all this. And I'm just like,
Jesus, what?
Yeah. People are aggressive. They're aggressive. But then Peter is like praised for all the different women he dates. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it's like, me, what's wrong with you? Don't you want to settle down and have kids? And be married by now? Shouldn't you have
to be in the kitchen doing like?
Whereas it's like, high five, Peter, be a playboy, cheat, do whatever you want. And it's just, there's still,
it's projection. It's projection, right? Like it's,
and it happens all the time. I am just very, very lucky that the person I work with right now is a personal friend of mine, and he kind of gets it, and we kind of have each other's backs. Like if someone comes for Peter, I've got his back. Unless me coming for him, and then it's on.
Yeah. And I want to like go into like, do you find it hard to keep up your own personal social media? Because again, like it's a mix of your work and your personal life. You're beautiful. Men are obviously
I tried when I first got into radio to have separate accounts, but like when I first got into radio, no point going back and forth. Then I was like, I'll just have one account. And I've had many moments where I'm like, maybe I'll go back to having a private, because it gets a little frustrating sometimes because like I have things I want to share with like my family. I'm very close with like my sister and my niece and my nephew. I want to post them and share them, but then sometimes I get like strange people commenting on my personal things. Do you know what I mean? Or my friends at first used to get really mad because they would comment something to me, maybe an inside joke, and they're joking around, and then like a listener would like attack them in my comments. And they were like, no, those are my real friends. So my friends used to get frustrated because they're like, we can't even say anything to you without people jumping in. But I'm kind of past it. I do find social media just in general hard to keep up with. Like, obviously I'm addicted to my phone like everybody is, but the constant, because especially like, well, in any job now, you have to be consistent with your social media, and you don't want to every day. I don't feel like posting every day. I'm not in a happy, good mood to share things.
Yeah. And then it's like, if you particularly, if you don't post something one day, we're like, oh shit, Blake's probably like,
I get questioned. I get asked all the time. Like, even my friends will reach out and be like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just haven't felt like posting. Or the second, like, I stop posting a guy or whatever, oh, did you guys break up? Like, people are right in there. Or I share, like, I share different things I like, whether it's memes or poems or this or that. And I'll share something like I think I shared a poem that might've been a little negative, and right away one of my bosses DM'd me like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just like the poem.
Yeah.
But people also use the internet to share their feelings and stuff. And I try to be real, because like, I'm definitely not happy all the time. I definitely have my major issues with mental health. And I try to, like, I'm not the person that's going to pull out my phone and record myself crying for Instagram. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I have to be real and be honest. And like, I don't feel like posting right now.
And that's
now. I've got my own I've got my real life happening outside of this. So.
Yeah. And like, I think that people obviously probably feel entitled to your life. And like, you have quite a big following, obviously, because you're a public figure. And it's just like, do you find that because of that, like, you've become harder on yourself?
Yeah, well, I definitely overthink a lot before I post anything. I definitely put it through so many filters in my mind. Like, what are the people who listen to Flow going to think of this? What are my friends and family going to think of this? What are guys going to think of this? What are women going to think? I'm hypercritical of everything, but I try to just be like, as long as it kind of still fits in my brand or whatever the hell I'm doing with my social media at this point. I definitely overthink a lot of stuff I do. And it's hard because, especially with the kind of radio shows I do, not everybody shares their personal life. I get really personal, really real. I share a lot. Sometimes I regret sharing because, like, not regret, but going through a breakup. Like, I just went through a breakup. Yeah. I went through a breakup this summer. It sucks when you have because, like, it sucks when going through a breakup.
Of course.
It sucks having to tell your friends and family, like, hey, this is what happened. And then I have to go another level. Now I have to talk about it on my show. Or if I don't talk about it, people start to notice I'm not mentioning this person. Or I get people sending direct people I've never even spoken to. Hey, what happened to that guy? I don't see him around anymore. Did another one bite the dust? Like,
oh my God.
Comments like, oh my gosh, you should see the comments. But at the same time, I put myself out there. I went on the radio. I talked about this partner. I posted photos of them. So it's kind of like, it just kind of comes with the territory. And because like some people don't talk about, like Peter's actually as much as he says his opinions, he's very private about his actual, like, nobody knows who Peter's actually dating on the show. But on the show, usually I've had my boyfriends on the show and brought them on air, and you know what I mean? So I've chosen to do that, which I think gets me a lot closer to people, to people who listen. Because, I open up and I'm real and I'm going through the same struggles, obviously. But at the same time, like, when you go through something like a breakup and you just want to be left alone, and now you have to answer to, you're already like, so
everybody's entitled to your life. Like, everybody feels entitled to your life.
So I can't imagine, honestly, going back to the actress thing, it almost worked out. I can't imagine, and not to say like I would have become a big famous actress, but I don't know how big famous people do it.
No.
Because I'm experiencing attention and the fallout and the people inquiring about personal life, like, this much. Imagine I was like a real celebrity, like a big one, and you're constantly being I don't know. I don't know if I can handle that.
It's funny you say that, because like, I initially created the show in 2018, and for years I was like, I don't even I'm scared to put myself out there. Because if one person says something like shitty to me, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. And obviously, like, you grow with time and you build tougher skin, but it's like, people are so opinionated now because there's no repercussions. Like, there's literally, for the most part, there's not any repercussions. So it's like, people feel they can say whatever they want.
We'll just say and I was
wildest things.
It was really hard. And there's so many times in the studio with like Peter, I'd get upset and someone, cause like, I don't know what the saying is, whatever, but like, you can get 100 amazing comments. You get one bad comment and you're just like, you're ruined. And it used to really make me spiral. And I'm just personally working on some stuff myself right now and just
Yeah.
trying to let those things go, because you do have to build a really thick skin, and you can't let those, because that's the thing. You're going to get 20 people who write amazing comments, and you might get one bad comment, but there's still 20 people that loved your show or loved what you had to
100%.
say. That's what you got to focus on. But it's hard, and definitely, like I've been saying forever, I'm going to do a podcast or I'm going to do this or that, and I would say definitely, like, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? And the judgment definitely holds you back.
100%. That's why it took me 3 years to get to today.
I'm 36 now. It has taken me the past like 13 years in this career to finally feel as confident and comfortable as I do.
I love that you said that too, because it's like I'm turning 30 in December, and it's like I'm not married. I don't want kids anymore. I'm at my parents because I lost my job in February or March. But like there's all these expectations that come up, and I'm like, I was supposed to have X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And I
trust me. Like, first of all, congratulations on turning 30, because I remember I was so scared to turn 30. Like 30 just seems so, I was like, I'm not even going to make it till 30. Like, I don't even know if I'll be around.
Wow.
And for my 30th birthday, we did a bicycle wine tour, which by the way was so much fun. Although you're a December baby. Oh my gosh, so much fun. So much fun. Just don't show up lit, because like it's keep going. So anyway, I made everyone wear black, because I was like, I want this to be like mourning. Like
wow.
my last birthday party we're going to celebrate, because now I'm old and life is over. No, 30 was awesome. Honestly, do I want to get older? Not really, but I am in like so much happier and so much more confident and at peace with myself. And I'm still learning, and I'm still going through dumb shit, and I still make mistakes. But as I'm getting into my 30s, like I would not go back.
Yeah.
I honestly, I love it so much. And I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I was engaged. I broke off an engagement. I owned a condo. We sold the condo. I blew all the money. Like, don't have anything to show for it. Like, I've got 2 dogs. If I could move back in with my parents right now, I probably would, but they live in BC, so I can't.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just think like we have to like throw all that shit out the window of where we're 100%. Expected to be. And it sucks. The only thing I find that is definitely harder for women is because we do have a clock on us. If we do want kids, it is. And that's where I'm kind of like, oh man, like, could I like go back like 5 years just so I could like keep having fun with no expectations? Because I do have to kind of be like, all right, well, I am 36. So if I am planning for that, then, because sometimes I'm like, am I really 36? Because I don't feel like it.
I'm shocked.
Like in my 20s, and I just want to have fun and like keep doing more things and achieving more things. And age has to go out the window, because
100%. Yeah. The funny thing is, so like all my friends are born the same year, and like literally I turned 30 in 2 weeks. My best friend is 31. So I don't even get to experience it myself, funny enough, because everybody's gone through it. So as soon as I turn 30, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm 31 in December. That's how I view myself. I'm always a year older than I actually am.
Yeah.
But, like,
all your friends.
It's funny that like a lot of people that I've heard, particularly women, are like, yeah, I turned 30 and like things just started making a little bit more sense. Like it calmed down a bit. Cause like your 20s are not great. Honestly, you're literally a shit show.
Yeah. And I'm still a shit show. I'm just a more confident shit show. It's
amazing.
Definitely cared more about social media, cared more about my body. Like I've struggled with like body image stuff since I can remember thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm just finally like, again, I'm single again for the first time in a while. I'm renting. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what my next steps are going to be, but I'm like cool with it. Like I'm still more confident and happier than I've ever been, to be perfect.
And the funny thing is, it's like, there's actually nothing wrong with renting. I think it's just this capitalist idea that like, you're supposed to have like several properties to like rent out. And like, you're supposed to have all these fancy things. And like, that's another pressure that's been added to people in general. Men, I think, just don't express it as much, but like women, you hear more so from, where it's like, like I need to have, like, think about fast fashion, for example. I actually just downloaded Shein. I refuse to buy from them, but it's like, no wonder women, not even women, like kids have body images, like body dysmorphia, because it's like, you got like cutout tops going on and like everything is secure and it's tight. And I'm like, I would hate being a teenager now.
I honestly, especially with social media, just because like I already struggle so much. And I went not recently, a couple of years ago when I started, because I used to just follow everything. And I'm like, why am I following all these accounts that make me feel bad about myself? Like, this is silly. I don't need to. But I just can't imagine, because like school was hard enough. Being a kid was hard enough. Body image issues and body dysmorphia was hard enough
100%.
without looking at a social media of perfect looking people with filters and editing and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. Like I feel for kids these days. And I guess every generation probably says that, but
Yeah.
social media is hard.
Yeah. Like in our day,
And
yeah, like I think we're the last generation that had both not social media and social media. And like,
yeah,
if you were getting bullied at school, it ended at school. Maybe you got it on MSN, but now it's
yeah.
24/7. Like you cannot.
Oh, now people
and
make
like,
a whole website about you, a whole Instagram account. They can,
yeah,
it's intense. It's
it's a
definitely
lot.
intense.
And I want to speak about confidence because like you say, like you're a lot more confident now. And I've like anytime I see, I feel like you exude confidence in this like beautiful way.
Thank
But like,
you.
do you find that you're met with people who are like, oh, she's so intimidating, she's difficult? You said like people are like, oh, you're bitchy and whiny, but that's you as a woman
I think a lot of people,
aggressive.
I think like the prejudgment people have when there's like a woman who's successful or a woman who's attractive, and I'm very tall, or a woman who's tall,
Yeah.
automatically assume she's going to be a bitch or have an attitude or not be friendly. And then I think when people meet me, that I would hope more often,
Yeah.
like, but I hear that a lot, like, oh, I can't believe how cool you are. I thought you were going to be like this or like this or like this. Like people already just guessed what they thought I was going to be like in real life. Like I have the advantage of I do a radio show, so you get to hear my personality all the time.
Yeah.
But people I still sometimes think that might be fake. And then in real life, I won't be as friendly or whatever, but that's it. That's me.
It's life. Yeah. And I want to speak about cancel culture because obviously that's a huge one now. And you're on radio and like, how do you like, I'd be
It's such a bizarre thing. It's so funny because it doesn't exist. It's because people say someone's canceled and then 2 months later they're back doing their thing. And like, how do you really, you're not God. You can't cancel someone. Do I think there are people that we need to quit supporting and maybe stop buying their music or stop following them? Definitely. There's people that have done. I believe that you can apologize and right your wrongs and stuff, but then there's some things that like you cannot go back on, like an R. Kelly. That's no redemption for me. Like there's no, you know what I mean? And so you can say, okay, maybe he's canceled, but like, I don't know. But definitely there's also that fear of stepping out of line.
Did I say the wrong thing? Like, do you get that?
I get worried, and that's where I'm hypersensitive about everything. And I'll say sometimes, like, I'll stop, and I keep using Peter's example, obviously, because we work together right now.
Yeah, he's your point of reference.
Oh, wait, maybe we can't say this because of this or this or this. Like, there's so many more levels to it. And especially with people getting called out and finding old tweets and finding this and that. This is where I am grateful for getting into media when I did and being a little bit older. So like when I got my first radio job, like MySpace was just a thing. Like there was no, Facebook was just coming out. I was it was just coming off MySpace going into Facebook. So I didn't really have a time to because like if I'd been a teenager with Twitter, I don't know what I would have tweeted. I don't know what dumb things I would have said. You know, when we're coming at these celebrities for something they tweeted 20 years ago when they were a child and just trying to look cool, that to me, I'm like, you know, they've definitely, I would hope, grown from that. And as long as they apologize and move forward, and that's not how they are now, because we've all done dumb stuff in our past. So I'm really grateful that there isn't as long of a digital trail of mine, because I don't know what I would have done as a teenager.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. It's like terrifying because I'm like, I don't have a Twitter. I never did because I never understood it, I guess. And I was like,
no, I'm not a Twitter person. It's not my thing.
I have too much to say. I talk too much. 100 characters is not for me. And you spoke about this, and I want to end off this episode here. Did you ever have moments where you felt like you didn't strike while the iron was hot? I think that's just like, that gets pounded in our heads, especially within the industry.
I definitely did. Like, okay, so, and I will say this, like when I first came here and I was working at Chum, the boss that brought me out here had said, I'm going to introduce you all. Like, he's like, I can't put you on TV because I'm not TV, but I'm going to introduce you to the right people. When I got here, he didn't introduce me to anyone. He just put me on my show and forgot about me. But that was on me. I should have hustled harder. I should have I should have walked in to the TV stuff. You know what I mean? So I definitely think, again, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, and everything flowed really well and got me to where I am right now. And I'm grateful to where I am right now. But I think could have acted on that earlier. And there's been so many situations where maybe if I just reached out to this, or I had done this, or I'd started a podcast 10 years ago, or I'd done that. Yeah, there's been some things maybe I missed out on, but maybe there was a reason I missed out on them because I'm supposed to be somewhere else now.
That's amazing. Yeah. Cause I think that like, it's always this, like, we're always told like, there's no more second chances in entertainment. Like that's it.
Oh, no. I just never ever give up. Like, no, like definitely strike while you can. And if you don't, or you're not ready to right then, another chance. Opportunities are always, it's not saying just like sit back and do nothing,
No.
but like it's never too late to start,
Yeah.
whatever age, whatever it is, more chances will always come.
Amazing. Yeah. And that's going to wrap up our first part one with you, which I'm super
Part
excited
one.
about. Thank you so much. Oh my God. And then we'll get into part two next week. Sick.